I've interviewed a number of Corrie's cast over the years, but until now I'd never spoken to someone who works behind the scenes at our favourite soap. Today I'm joined by someone whose name you may recognise for being behind some of Corrie's most uniquely shot episodes of recent years. It's director Matt Hilton. Matt, thank you so much for joining me today.
It's alright, it's a pleasure to be here, thank you.
So first off, for any listeners who might not be aware of the finer behind the scenes details, what exactly does our director at Corrie do?
That's a big generic description, really. Essentially, your job is to take the scenes from the script onto the screen, in the kind of the simplest sense. So you get given your scripts from the producer, which you have a meeting with, and you talk over the storylines, where they are at the moment, where they've come from and where they're going to, and essentially bring them to life into what you see as the end product that goes out on the screen, really. So once the writers have finished their work and the producer and the editorial team have finished all their work, they get given to you. And then you work with, you have a few weeks prep to work with design and costume and makeup, lighting, to kind of plan how you want your episodes to look, what you want to happen, any decisions that are kind of instrumental in things like that. And then you plan them for what you particularly see, how your episodes to look, how you want them to be, and then you work with the crew, the camera team and the sound team and everyone on the production floor to kind of bring them your vision of what you read originally to life, really. That's kind of it really. You essentially, once the editorial team are finished, it's your job to do everything, really. So you have a lot of meetings, a lot of castings and things like that. So
yeah. What inspired you to go into directing?
I think it was just watching a lot of TV as a kid, really. As stupid as that is. I loved watching TV and films as a kid. I was still a big film fan.
Yeah.
And it was just that, and I just enjoyed watching stories, really, and things that kind of specific stories and films that kind of touched me as a child and through my adolescence and things that connected with you. And I always thought it was quite interesting that you could have films or TV shows that spoke to you at a certain point in your life that captured that kind of that moment and connected with you. And I think possibly I just also enjoying kind of being a bit of a storyteller as well. Being a person that likes to chat and entertain people, I suppose, and and have a laugh and things like that. It just kind of drew me to wanting to do that for a living, really, I suppose.
Oh, right. So looking at your IMDb page, it says that your earliest credit was for Fairy Tale of Weatherfield segment in 2013's Tech Santa special. Was that your first foot in the door at Corrie?
No, I started off originally as a runner, as a floor runner.
Oh, tell me a bit about that. That sounds really interesting.
Well, yeah, I started it back in 2007, I think it was.
Yeah.
As a floor runner, so we just... At that point, you looked after the cast back at Key Street when it was in its original place, and your job was just to kind of do anything and everything that the assistant director team needed. So if you were making cups of tea, you were knocking on doors for cast members to get them to set, going to the post office for people, going to anything and everything, really, getting people from shops and things if they were getting Jimmy Harkishin back from Selfridges, stuff like that. And just anything and everything, really. And then more production-wise, you ended up on the production floor and watched filming, assisted the team on the production floor, and then I became a third AD after that, which was looking after the supporting artists and the extras mostly, and kind of choreographing their work. And then because it was always something I wanted to do, I ended up learning with a friend of mine, Tim Royal, who's another director here at the minute, who's just some brilliant stuff. Just shooting stuff in my spare time because I wanted to learn how to direct and shoot and things. So I started doing that, and then because I shot a few little music videos with Craig Charles at his Funk and Soul Club and some little bits and bobs like that, really, and it kind of just captured my imagination a bit. So then Tech Santa asked me to do something. I think our digital team were busy or something random like that.
Yeah.
So because I shot a few things, the digital team said, "Oh, well, Matt could maybe do this." And then Tech Santa wanted a little video that was a segment of just the cast doing something random. And because I was friendly with the cast, because I worked with them for so long, they were quite receptive of me doing something.
Yeah.
So I think originally we did one the year before, which was everybody singing or miming to All I Want for Christmas Is
Yeah, I remember
You.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was mine.
Was
that
it?
Was the first thing, yeah, that was the first thing I ever did, really. So they wanted me to make some little video that was just a little kind of vox pops thing of the cast saying the phone number that they needed. So I made that instead because I thought it'd be more fun, and everyone loved it, and it was a bit of a change from the norm for all the cast.
The first year you said they were miming to it. The next year they were probably singing along, weren't they? The fairy tale in New York.
Yeah, the second time the production team at Texanta were like, "Oh, you should get them to actually sing it," and then so we did, and we tried, and we got a musical choreographer guy down, and he was great, and yeah, they all sang. Some of them really can't sing, which was the fun bit. Some of them were terrible, but it worked out really well, and we kind of made this strange little video of this little Christmassy moment, which was great. And then year on year, they got me to do it because I was kind of free, really. So, and within that, Corrie recognised that I wanted to direct, and we did this internal directing scheme with a few of us.
Yeah.
And I ended up on that, and then I ended up directing half an episode of the show, then 2 episodes, and then I had to stop because we did the live episode.
Yeah, I saw there was a video on YouTube of you walking around and saying what there was like. What was that like, doing a live episode? I can't imagine.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing, really. I've done 2 now. I did the one in 2010 when we did the tram crash, and I did the one in 2015. Yeah, and they're amazing. They're a real kind of proud moment because there's nothing really like that in TV. Not live drama kind of TV. So they're really unique, but they're really good fun to be a part of, and they're really, really stressful and really they're really rewarding as well. And when you finish it, the kind of sense of pride in yourself and the team and what you've kind of accomplished without, doing something really bad or something going really, really tits up is brilliant. So you just feel this overwhelming sense of pride, and I think everyone after it is just on such a buzz, and he almost realises how good they are, really, which is just, a great thing to be part of. But yeah, they're stressful, but I think they're a good. Yeah, they're really good. You just want to want to do another one. Then you don't want to do it just because it is stressful. But then, yeah, they're just a great experience, really.
Mm-hmm. What are some of your memories from it? I mean, was there everything go to plan as it was supposed to be, or did you have to do any improvising on the moment if the things went wrong?
Oh no, not really. No, the first time on the tram crash I was a runner at that time, so I had a different job role. Where on the last one I was the lead third AD, so I designed where all the supporting artists went. But on the first one, I was inside the tram.
Oh really?
For the very first scene, yeah. So I was inside the tram as we dropped loads of dust. Because it was just, I think the episode finished previously when Ashley died, and they started a live episode. So I had to cue Ben Price out of what was the joinery, I think it was called at the time.
That's right.
Yeah, so I had to cue Ben and this fire officer out of this rubble over the tram, and that was the first thing I had to do. And I remember being stood inside the tram on the street with hearing kind of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we're live, and then you hear the theme tune, and I remember hearing the theme tune and just...
Your heart must have been racing.
Yeah, there was a few things that kind of go through your mind as you suddenly go, oh my God. And this is the one now. And then, but I think you're so prepped for it, and you're so kind of revved up for it, when you hear it, then you just spring into action, and and then it all becomes a blur, then you just go into action. But the last time was great, and I remember queuing the last few people to kind of cross the rovers, and I hid a bottle of Prosecco inside the salon outside. So as soon as we kind of finished and I queued my last people over, I just wandered over to the salon, got this bottle of Prosecco, stood there unravelling it, and then opened it as the kind of last few seconds of the credits rolled. So it was a nice feeling to have finished it and then gone and relax.
So what are some of the other kind of memorable episodes or moments that you've directed on Corrie over the years?
Recently I've done, I suppose going backwards, I did Anna's court case. That was good fun. That was really good fun. Kate Oates was the producer then, and she was wonderful when we did that, because we went to such an old kind of court in I can't remember where it was now. I think it's in Bolton somewhere. So in such an old court that was really kind of dramatic, and we wanted to make it quite interesting looking and a bit different, which obviously, like you said before, I kind of always do a little bit of. So we wanted to kind of make this interesting set, so she allowed us to do that and light it a bit differently and kind of experiment a bit, which was great.
Yeah.
Before that, I did Craig Charles on a steamboat to Sweden, I think it was, when he got stabbed a few years ago. So he did some at the initial point when Michelle and Robert got together. That was a really nice block with Kim and Tristan when they first kind of kiss and end up in bed together, and then she has a go at Steve for getting Leanne pregnant, and yes, that was good. What else was that? Recently was Abby's interview. That was
yeah, I remember that one because that had some really interesting angles as well. I mean, you've got quite a unique directing style. I mean, I don't always have a look at the credits at the beginning of the episode, but often I can tell when it's one of your ones. How would you describe your style? What makes it different?
I don't know really. Someone asked me this recently, and I can't really describe it. I think it's It's weird because I don't set out to specifically find something that is kind of revolutionary or anything that's particularly outrageous or different. But I think it just kind of comes from watching such a varied amount of films, and when I see things, when I read the scripts, I kind of see an initial idea and try to kind of flesh it out really and make something that how I would see it in my mind, and the feelings I get when I read the scene and kind of portray them in the visuals really. So with that scene with Abby, when I read it, the scene felt quite oppressive, and she was quite nervous, and she was a fish out of water, and it was somewhere she was uncomfortable. So I just tried to kind of create that feeling of uncomfortableness really for the viewer to kind of get across. And the same with the scenes last week with Billy and Paul on the street. Yeah. With them kind of coming together, I wanted to get the sense that they were so far apart, and then slowly coming together that then they ended up just two kind of lovers together, the two people together and they grew towards each other really. So so it was just that. So I kind of wanted a sense of, with that one, especially with Paul and Billy, I wanted that sense of space between them. So we did a really huge wide shot with putting them on the kind of far edges of the shots to each other to show that distance and how far apart they were. And then at the end, I just wanted to see these kind of two figures on the street looking united and looking together. And I spoke to Dan and Peter about it and told them kind of this is the theme I was thinking of and what I wanted to kind of portray during the scene. So don't get too close. And although you kind of want to go over and chat to each other and keep a bit of distance, and let's play with it a little bit. And they were really receptive, which was great. And we just kind of, and it kind of worked to get that feeling across really of these two kind of slow.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it worked really well. I mean, did the cast ever like to get involved with spitball and ideas about how certain scenes could be shot, or do they just kind of go with whatever you say?
More often than not, they get involved within you kind of as you tell them, and I personally like to tell them what I'm thinking and why it is, and because sometimes like that scene, for example, when they're together walking down the street, they're walking down the middle of a main road really. Yeah. So you wouldn't do that in reality. Obviously, you stick to the pavement, but so we kind of had to say, well, this is what I'm thinking, and this is the reason why. And I think, although that's not reality, and that's what we would do as if we were walking down the street together, I think we shouldn't do, and I think we should just. This will help show what these two people together. So let's just ignore the fact we're walking down the middle of a road and just do. And be together. I
think Rosamond Street's a bit shorter than it used to be these days. So I don't think a car could get good speed up to hit them.
No, it's getting nowhere down that street, especially under the archway. Yeah. So they get involved in that kind of respect. They don't get too drawn into it because I think because they've got the sheer volume of episodes that they're juggling at the time is it's just an intricate detail. They're not really. Focused on. They're focused on where their character is and where that point and where they get to and where they're going and where they're coming from.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, so they're kind of more interested in that. Some people are quite visual and some people are not. So it depends. Some people you could explain till you're blue in the face and they wouldn't have a clue what you're on about.
Naming no names.
Naming no names. Yeah, no.
I mean, you talked about it being kind of very fast paced, which obviously these days soaps really is. I mean, are you always given free rein to shoot how you like, or do time constraints ever just get in the way and you just need to point and shoot?
Sometimes you do, yeah. There's obviously there's only certain boundaries you can stay within because of the show itself, and because so many days are dependent on other people, other directors, other units. Because we usually have 3, 4, 5 units at any one time. So it's a very finely balanced deck of cards. So someone not meeting their crossovers or spending too long with certain people can be chaotic, really. So there's a lot of fine lines that you just have to stay within. But more often than not, you're given free rein. Me personally, because I was an assistant director and the timings and the scene organisation was part of our role, I tried to stick within that and use my time for what I want to achieve. So so you can get lost in it a little bit if you're not great with your time, or today we were on location when we were near Manchester Airport, so we had a lot of planes. So you just have a lot of planes, and that's something you can't deal with. So you just end up having to work a bit quicker. But more often than not, you can have a nice leisurely kind of day, and you can take your time and do some experimental things. And but then if something does go slightly awry, you can get to the point of having to shoot a scene in about 17 minutes, and which we did on the last block I did. We did a scene with, I think it was Ken coming in to see and finding Peter and Carla in the morning when it was Peter's birthday, and he gives him a birthday card. And we didn't have very long left yet in the day, and we just kind of had 3 great actors and just made it work, which was brilliant. And sometimes you thrive off that little bit of pressure because it kind of keeps you thinking, and it keeps, sometimes when stuff goes slightly wrong, it helps you kind of be a bit more creative, or a little bit more, gives you a reason to kind of get thinking a bit faster, or so it can be helpful sometimes.
Yeah. What about when you want to you get a drone shot or a crane shot or anything? Is that something that takes a lot of planning in advance?
Yeah, more often than not, yeah. Anything kind of extra special, we do build in extra time for, or we do build a bit more money in the budget for, and stuff like that. So it tends to be something you do in your three weeks of planning beforehand. So essentially, in the 3 weeks before you start shooting, you plan every shot and every scene that you do. So the last week's episodes, I think I had 108 scenes or something like that in total over the 6 episodes and the 3 days. So you sit and plan every single scene for everything that you want within that scene. And if you do want, say, a drone shot, you have to then you speak to production, who then go and build in a bit more time and see if they've got the money, and then we kind of go from there, really. So say something like the roof collapse, that is given, that they work with the director quite closely to find out what you want, how long it's going to take, if you want any special shots, if you need CGI and that kind of thing, to kind of build in all that time, so it's all pre-planned, really.
Yeah. You weren't involved at all in the roof collapse, were you?
No, I did. I did those memorials afterwards, and I didn't get involved in that.
Would you like to have been?
Yeah, I would love to have been. Yeah, I think it was a really good block, and I think those event kind of blocks they're from our production point of view, kind of behind the scenes point of view, they're a massive strategic kind of element, and they're a big 6 months in the planning kind of spectacle, really. So they take a lot of work, but I'd love the chance to do that. Yeah, I'd love the chance to do anything that's a little bit different, or take the opportunity to do something that's gonna
a bit special.
Wow the audience. I think, and it'd probably be a load of hard work, but I think you get the chance for something like that, I'd love it. Yeah,
I suppose it's like what you're saying about the live episode. Once it's all over, the sense of pride you'd feel about seeing something like that come off. Do you think it's important that soaps continue to evolve in their look over the years, like get more kind of technical and have a different kind of look to it, to keep up with the big budget dramas? Because some of what we saw in the roof collapse, for example, was very kind of big budget.
Yeah, I think so, because I think the audience kind of expect more, and I think TV's become, with like Netflix and Amazon and things like that, the TV budgets have gone up so much now. They're almost film budgets, so people expect so much more. And I think the shows is a certain limited amount of. We've got a limited set. We have a limited budget. We have a limited kind of what we can do and what we can't do within the slots we do on the show. So I think we've got to try and kind of keep up with everyone really a little bit. And I think that's also a way we'll attract different generations of viewers as well. If we tell slightly different stories, or we tell them in a slightly different way, because I think eventually the demographics will change and the viewers will change, and they'll, people. I personally, probably because I'm at work all the time, I barely watch live TV anymore really, because I'm always at work. So there's a lot of Sky Plus, there's a lot of on demand and stuff like that. So I think you've got to kind of keep it a little bit changed and a little bit different. And essentially, I think some people ask me things like this a lot because the way I shoot things are quite different. But I think as long as we're using the same characters and we're using the same sets and we're using the same streets, so I think as long as you kind of grow within the street, we can use nicer cameras perhaps, but we'll still be on the street, so we'll still know where we are. We'll still see Ken, we'll still see our beloved characters, but maybe we can just tell them in a slightly more entertaining way, or a visually stunning way perhaps. So I think it's a good idea to keep it changing. It's just, I suppose, dependent on if the viewers like it or not. Luckily I think most people have liked mine, so I'm kind of got away with it, I think.
Have you kind of noticed any changes over the years, like as the producers have come and gone, of how they've wanted to see it appear on screen?
Yeah, there's been a few changes. I think I've been here for 5 producers now, and you do see little slight different developments, and mostly I think with the producers, because they work more heavily with the editorial department, it's more script based, so you see different styles of stories arrive with different people, and that's quite interesting, because I suppose you always assume that the stories are going to be of a similar vein really, but Kate Oates had a different kind of story style to Ian, and really different style to Stuart Blackburn, who was in before her, and it's kind of that. So Kate allowed us a lot of freedom to create more and to be a bit more visually creative and try a few more things, which was good. So I think it's just a little bit of freedom, I suppose. And then I think Kate, for example, got that back with the stories as well. So she told us slightly different, different stories, and got to kind of spread her wings a little bit as well. So I think you see that which is quite nice. And you see the show kind of people maybe picking up stories that they wouldn't normally get. So, and you kind of see them, the cast, feeling good because they've got a slightly different story or something a bit more dramatic, and it's nice to see that kind of it growing, really. Yeah.
Speaking of Kate Oates, were you involved in any of the big Pat Phelan moments?
I think I was involved in a couple. I was obviously when Anna got sent down and he lied in court and all that kind of stuff. So I did that.
Oh, yeah.
I think I did the reveal of when he went to Liverpool with Nicola,
and
it revealed that he was her dad to Eiley. So I did that kind of strand beforehand. I think that was it really. I don't think I got involved with much.
You didn't do any of the stuff in the basement with Andy or anything?
No, I did. Annoyingly, I had one scene out of all my scenes there, and someone else had to do it because for some random reason. But I didn't get much to do with that, which was a shame, because that whole strand, unfortunately, I missed by a mile. I think everyone seemed to get loads of it with juicy stuff, and I ended up with stuff like in the kebab shop instead. So it was a bit gutted, really. Yeah,
because that was really visually interesting. All the cellar stuff, the lighting, the set. Loved it. It
was great. It was a wonderful set that our design team put together. It was absolutely brilliant. It was gorgeous. It was lovely. And again, obviously, like I said, because I do stuff a little bit differently, I was kind of going, do you want me to go and do stuff? Shall I not? I'd love to get in there. No, nothing? Okay, nothing. So I didn't get to do anything. It's a bit of a shame.
Oh, well. So at the end of the day, when you sit down to watch an episode that you've directed, are you very critical of your own work, or do you just, sit back and enjoy it?
Oh, no. Never. Well, I wouldn't say never enjoy it. I'm very critical. And say the episodes that went out last week, I watched a little bit of. And I started working on those in January, I think it was. Yeah. And it was Yeah, I think it was January, so it was about 3 weeks of prep, 6 weeks of shooting overall, and a few days in the edit. So I think I read them 4 or 5 times, saw them acted 6 or 7 times, and then saw them in the edit kind of so many other times. And yeah, and you just, I think sometimes you get a bit so close to it because you're all over every single aspect of it that you just can't see the wood for the trees sometimes. So I sit and watch it and go, oh, that could have been better. Well, we should have done that. That didn't work, and don't like that. So you just, it's quite hard sometimes because you often lose a little bit of perspective, or I do anyway.
You can't switch off the director mode.
Yeah. So sometimes it's nice when other people watch it, and it's good to, sometimes you get somebody else in just to kind of go, just watch this and see if it's crap. Because you have your frame of reference is just up the wall.
Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah. But then I do watch some bits back and go, oh, that worked, that was nice. That's what I wanted, which is good.
Yeah, well, you must be kind of learning all the time, especially the way you came into the job, like just being a runner first and then kind of gradually working your way up. It must be a massive learning curve.
Oh yeah, massively. And you constantly. One of the reasons I enjoy it so much is because I do learn so much, and I have a little notebook where I write down, "Don't do that again." And some of the producers sometimes tell you, maybe you should have done this, maybe that would have worked, or in hindsight, do this maybe next time. So you get positive feedback that's helpful. So you learn every day, and it's nice learning slightly different aspects of it. And because you are over so much of the show, from the script to the screen, it's just you can constantly improve and constantly feel like you could do something better, or maybe that idea works. Or then you go home and you watch the film and you see something and go, I'm going to rip that off next time. So it's good doing that, really.
Because you work on Emmerdale, don't you, as well? And then you've done a bit of Hollyoaks. Do you kind of pass ideas back and forth between there? Is it kind of similar working on those soaps?
Yeah, Emmerdale's very similar because it's the kind of same platform and same, a lot of the same structure that we have here because of the same, same format show, really. So they're kind of applicable. Hollyoaks is slightly different because they shoot it with one camera rather than 3.
All right.
So theirs is a bit more slower and a little bit different kind of style of production, really. So that's a slightly different entity. But yeah, Emmerdale's very similar, and that's a great show to work on. It's a very different place overall to Corrie, just in kind of behind the scenes as well as in front of the camera, really. I grew up, spent 12 years here, and it's mad, and it's a madhouse, and Emmerdale's very calm and very nice and a lovely place and very serene, and this place is just nuts. So it's nice to go away every now and then for a little bit of calm and a little bit of countryside and to the great people there. But then me being me, I'm kind of getting towards the end going, surely there's some nutcase around here somewhere. Because there's loads at Corrie, and then so I kind of come back going, it's just the same as the madhouse. It's not the same. So,
Are your plans to stay with Corrie for a good while to come, and Emmerdale, or have you got ambitions to move on to other things at some point?
I don't know, really. I'd like to do other things. I'm like to try other things and keep learning. Really, is my kind of what I'm planning on doing is just to keep learning. When I stop learning, I'll probably give it up then. But yeah, Corrie's my home, really. I've grown up here and spent my kind of 20s here, and I'll hopefully spend my 30s and my 40s and my 50s here, and around my friends, really, because I think the cast are a great bunch of people, although they are crazy at times, and the crew are great. So it is like a big family, really. So I'd love to spend kind of my days here just with my friends making nice TV, really. Oh. But we'll see.
Yeah, well, personally, I'd love for you to stay because, as I say, I really do enjoy watching a Matt Hilton episode. And I'm just excited to see how everything evolves as the years go by.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast today. It's been really interesting finding out a bit about behind the scenes and how it all works. So best of luck for the future. And
thank you very much.
Okay, no problem. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.